At the tail end of Action Comics number 12, after a riveting story of Superman battling reckless drivers in Metropolis, comic book readers nationwide would get their first ever glimpse of Howdy y'all, I've been a fan of Batman for just about as long as I can remember. Could you tell? The Tim Burton films are some of my favorite superhero movies of all time. I can't help but watch the Adam West Show every now and again to have a wholly good time. And the animated series has proved itself in being one of the best animated shows. Heck, one of the best shows I have ever watched, period. Oh, and these are okay too, I guess. Whatever, the point stands that I adore the Caped Crusader. However, I've never really dived into his comics. I've read a few here and there. Okay, I've read one. It was The Killing Joke. I find that I'm overwhelmed by where to start. The Caped Crusader has fought crime on the printed page for over 80 years and counting, with quite literally thousands and thousands of comic books underneath his utility belt. And while there are dozens of Batman comics that I could have picked up first, I find that it's always better to start from the beginning. So, let's sit back and read through the first year of Batman comics to see the formation of this legendary crime fighter. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and jump right into Detective Comics number 27, The Bat-Man in the Case of the Chemical Syndicate by Robert Kane. The comic starts off in the home of Commissioner Gordon, who is entertaining his famous socialite friend, Bruce Wayne. First off, I find it really neat how Commissioner Gordon was there literally from the very start. A lot of other supporting characters take their sweet time in making their debut, but this man was on the scene ever since the first panel, technically being introduced before Bruce Wayne even. Their talk is interrupted when Gordon is called onto a murder scene. Mr. Lambert, owner of the Apex Chemical Corporation, has been stabbed to death, and a contract has been stolen from one of his safes. The primary suspect being his own son, for the boy's fingerprints were left on the knife when he pulled it out of his father's back. Ah yes, the North by Northwest way of incriminating yourself, a classic. It's quickly found out that Lambert had been threatened the day before, and now one of his past business partners has received a threat on his life as well. The police head out to the man's house, but it's too late. He's shot down in his chair, a contract being stolen from his safe as well. The murderer climbs out of the window, nearly escaping with a fellow thug, but they are stopped by the Batman. The masked vigilante knocks out the two criminals and takes their stolen contract. After reading what's inside, he swiftly heads off to the home of Alfred Stryker, another ex-business partner of the late Lambert. Upon arriving, he saves the life of Paul Rogers, who is also an ex-business partner of the late Lambert. It's then revealed that Stryker had made a deal with all of his past partners, that he would make yearly payments to all of them until he owned the Apex Chemical Corporation outright, and that he had killed the other men and stolen their contracts so that he wouldn't have to pay up. The Batman's ears disappearing in disgust as he describes the heinous crime. So, this man committed murders, multiple murders, so that he wouldn't have to finance a loan. I'm not saying I agree with what he did, but I understand why he did it. Wait a minute, secret contracts not known by their heirs or the outside world? That's not how that works. You have to have some lawyer over these papers. These contracts are about as legally binding as as a mass vigilante. And even assuming that they were legally binding, what exactly was he gonna do with them anyway? If these contracts are such a secret that no one knows of their existence, then how is he going to prove his ownership of the corporation? What, is he just gonna show them off to the public, and then hope everyone just thinks he got extremely lucky in the fact that all the people he owed money to were just conveniently murdered? Surely to goodness you realize how suspicious that would be. Anyway, stepping aside aside from the logistics of this nearly 90-year-old comic book story, Stryker struggles against the Caped Crusader, pulling a gun out on him only for the Batman to punch him in retaliation, knocking him through the railing and into the acid tank below. The Batman's ears disappearing yet again as he watches the man fall into his corrosive grave. Was it seriously that hard for you to draw and profile Kane? Admittedly, when I first read this, I thought, oh, I bet this is where Tim Burton got the idea for the Joker to fall into acid for his film. A nice little nod to Batman's debut comic. But then I remembered that the Killing Joke existed, and I felt a little stupid. We then have the first instance of the Batman disappearing mid-sentence, and later Commissioner Gordon tells his wealthy friend Bruce Wayne all that had happened, only for Bruce to seem rather uninterested in the story. But, in the final two panels, it's revealed that Bruce Wayne was none other than the Batman this entire time. I find it simply amazing that the first ever Batman story has it as a twist that Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's so hard to imagine there ever being a time where anyone would have been surprised by that information. Not only because Bruce Wayne being Batman is such a known thing today, but also the fact that it's just not a very good twist in general. Bruce Wayne leaves at the end of one page only for the Batman to appear at the start of the next one. Who else in the story could it have possibly have been? Was there some young kid back in 1939 that was like, oh yeah, this Batman fellow? I bet you it's young Lambert. Okay, to be fair, I don't even think this is really supposed to be a plot twist as much as it's simply revealing who the Batman was to the reader, but I find it funny regardless to imagine that this 6-page comic tried to tell an extremely condensed version of the Scarlet Pimpernel. Also, this drawing of the Batman here is extremely similar to the opening shot of him in the film serial from 1943. If that was intentional, I have to tip my hat to the filmmakers here for having this little allusion to the comics. Great, there's now officially one thing I like about this film serial. On to the next one. Detective Comics number 28. The Batman swings into action, stopping a group of wannabe jewel thieves right after their latest heist. Curiously, he makes it seem like he was part of the gang to the police that arrive on the scene. Though before the cops can arrest him, he jumps off the building to his death. Nah, I'm just kidding, he swings down to a lower rooftop. Okay, something I want to mention right away, the Batman isn't wearing gloves in this one. He was in the last comic, purple gloves that really didn't go with his outfit at all, but hey, that's still better than leaving fingerprints everywhere. Anyway, the next day the newspapers incorrectly label the Batman as being the leader of the gang. Undoubtedly another sensationalist article written by that hack too-big journalist Clark Kent for the Daily Star. However, this is exactly what the Caped Crusader wanted, for the thugs are lured into a false sense of security, believing that the police will be so focused on trying to catch the cowed vigilante that they'll easily be able to pull off their next heist. Little do they know that the Batman is listening to their plan through the window. And hey, he finally put his gloves back on! I was gonna ask how the Batman knew where the gang was gonna be, but at the start of the comic he does find out who the gang leader is, so it's not too much of a stretch for him to find out where he lives as well. So I'll let it slide. Granted, he still got very lucky that they decided to discuss their plans right by the very window that he just happened to be hanging in front of. How long was he supposedly waiting for? Anyway, later that night, he gets the drop on them as they're looting an apartment complex. And why did you take the gloves back off? Do you just like damaging your knuckles? Are you trying to leave as many fingerprints as possible? After dealing with the thugs, he speeds off to face the gang leader. After a small tussle, he has the man write out a confession, and then dumps him in front of the police headquarters for Commissioner Gordon to deal with him from there. Detective Comics number 29, The Batman Meets Dr. Death, by Bob Kane. Took him 3 months, but the man finally found the correct abbreviation for Robert. You think Bill Finger fixed that for him too? A criminal mastermind, Dr. Carl Helfern, is worried that the Batman will try to put a stop to his evil experiments. One thing to note right off the bat, this is the first comic that drops the hyphen in Batman, making it just one word now. now. You think Bill Finger fixed that for Bob Kane too? Granted, it's still Batman in the title panel, though only Batman on the cover. Man, you think Detective Comics would be a bit better with their branding. Anyway, Helfrich decides to put a stop to the Batman before he has the chance to interfere with his work. He runs an ad in the newspaper, telling the Batman that there's a letter for him at the post office under the name John Jones. Bruce Wayne goes to collect the letter, opening it up to read that someone is going to be killed at 10 p.m. inside of an apartment complex. The note challenging the Batman to try and stop the murder. Okay, so you took out an ad calling out the Batman directly, telling him to use a false name to collect the letter, and then Bruce Wayne uses said false name to collect said letter. How did the postal worker not immediately go, "Wait, you're Batman? Bruce Wayne is Batman?" Okay, to be fair, that's assuming that the clerk read the paper and that he would even recognize Bruce Wayne in the first place, but then again, why even take that risk? Why not just collect the letter in full costume? Also, I don't care how quickly Bruce went to the post office after reading the paper, but there is absolutely no way someone else would not have collected that letter already. Some random Joe Schmo would have walked up, said they were John Jones, and then taken the letter just for a laugh. And even if that didn't happen, the police almost certainly would have confiscated the letter by now, with it addressed to the Batman and described as being of vital importance. Well, seeing how this is the one universe in the multiverse where Bruce Wayne is able to collect the letter without his secret identity being discovered, he suits up, this time putting on his gloves even though he's still not wearing them on the cover art for some reason, and speeds off to try and stop the murder. He heads over to the apartment complex, only to discover that it was a trap all along, because of course it was. Thankfully, the Batman is quick to take down the thugs, though questionable looking henchman catches him by surprise and fires a round into his shoulder. The Batman tosses a gas pellet at the shooter as he smashes a nearby window and jumps to safety. He heads over to a doctor to deal with the bullet wound. Later he spots his would-be assassin and follows him back to the headquarters of Dr. Helfrich, or rather, Dr. Death. The Caped Crusader breaks into the Madman's laboratory. A small tussle breaks out between the two. At one point, a batch of chemicals falls right to the floor and starts a fire that soon engulfs the entire lab. The Batman escapes to the outside, while the Doctor laughs maniacally as he's engulfed in flames inside of the burning building. Detective Comics number 30. Bruce Wayne quickly finds out that his quote-unquote sworn enemy Dr. Death has survived the lab fire and has committed another queer murder. His victim killed because he had some diamonds that the doctor wished to get his hands on. Now, how did Dr. Death know that this man had a small fortune in diamonds hidden away? Great question. The Batman, upon hearing this, breaks into the dead man's house after dark to secure the diamonds before the doctor has a chance to steal them. Now, how did he know they would be in a hidden wall safe? Great question. Holy wild shot in the dark, Batman! Anyway, he discovers the diamonds right around the time Dr. Death's questionable lackey breaks into the house as well. Batman knocks the guy out of the window with one swift punch, and then tosses the bag of diamonds down to him. The henchman, confused about what happened but happy that he got the diamonds regardless, heads back over to the doctor's headquarters, unaware of the fact that the Caped Crusader is following his every move. The Batman watches as the man hands off the stolen goods to a pawnbroker, and later, when the lackey walks into a boarding house, the Caped Crusader breaks into the building via the skylight, knocking the henchman out via a glass vial, and then searching through his room for some clues. However, he takes too long, giving the criminal enough time to wake back up. Escaping through the window, the Batman is quick to— "Oh my lord!" Batman just killed him outright. This isn't some accidental thing like with Stryker falling to the acid in the first comic. Bruce Wayne just broke this guy's neck. Now I see where Michael Keaton got it from. Anyway, after permanently relieving this man of a stiff neck, he heads over to the pawnbroker from earlier, questioning the man about where Dr. Death is, only to quickly discover that the man is none other than the evil doctor himself, wearing a mask, disfigured by the fire at the end of the last comic. Batman exits the scene as the police arrive, leaving the madman in the hands of the law, presumably not having enough time to kill him himself. Detective Comics number 31. The story opens with Batman prowling around on a New York night. That was a bit of a surprise to read, let me tell ya. He finds a man being attacked by a woman. He saves the man by pulling him up to the top of a telephone pole, and then goes down to deal with the attacker, only to discover that the woman in question is none other than his fiancée, Julie Madison. Reading that was... well, it was a bigger surprise than the New York thing, let me tell you that much. Batman quickly discovers that Julie is under hypnosis, being controlled by some powerful foe, which was why she was attacking the other man in the first place. The Caped Crusader breaks her out from under the spell and drives her back home. The next day, Bruce and Julie head over to the doctor to deal with her hypnosis, only for the doctor to prescribe Julie an ocean voyage to Paris. Hey, that's just how doctoring went back in the late 30s. I'm surprised he didn't write her down for some heroin too while he was at it. Okay, to be fair, the doctor is also under hypnosis himself, which is why he makes the suggestion in the first place. And in the next few panels, we get a double whammy of introductions. The Batplane, or rather the Bat Gyro as it's called here, and the Batarang both make their debut in two back-to-back panels, alongside the naming convention of putting Bat in front of all of his wonderful toys. Yeah, the Batplane predated the Batmobile by quite a while. The Batmobile wouldn't get introduced until Batman number 5 in 1941. Okay, if you Google Batmobile's first appearance, it'll tell you that the debut Batman comic includes the Batmobile, but it's wrong. My brother in Christ, that is just a car. A normal sedan does not a Batmobile make. The Batmobile flashes through the streets with bullet speed. Stop lying to yourself, buddy. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah. The Batman uses his Bat Gyro to fly over New York, scaring the bejesus out of the people below, which was actually a little funny to read, not gonna lie. He lands on the ship that Julie is sailing on, only to come face to face with the one that had hypnotized her in the first place, the red-clad monk. So, y'all see it too, right? Well, he is the villain, so I guess it checks out. The monk nearly hypnotizes the Batman with a sinister glance. The Caped Crusader, fighting against the supernatural power of the red-clad fiend, uses what's left of his free will to escape the ship, following the cruise liner from a safe distance in his Bat Gyro, regrettably allowing Julie to get captured by the monk. Once in Paris, the Batman is quick to look high and low for his fiancée. After searching for an unspecified amount of time, the Batman finally finds Julie sleeping. He jumps into the window to rescue her, only for a massive ape to attack him once inside. The Batman dodges the lumbering animal, only to fall right into a trap laid out by the monk, tied up in a net being lowered into a pit filled with venomous snakes. He flings his Batarang into a light fixture above him, and uses the falling glass to cut his way out of the net, running towards the monk, only to be trapped again as a cage suddenly drops down around him. The ape from earlier is lowered inside with him. The scale of the gorilla changing drastically in between pages. The Batman breaks free from the cage, scaling up the rope that the gorilla was lowered down with. He escapes to the outside, climbing into his Bat Gyro and immediately taking off towards a speeding car leaving the building. Using one of his gas pellets, he makes the driver crash into a nearby tree, and saves Julie from the wreck. Thank God that didn't kill her. Cars back then had all the safety features of a pack of cigarettes. You got very lucky that you didn't just accidentally fillet your fiancé, Bruce. Anyway, the Batman takes his knocked out partner back to the Batplane. Yeah, now it's just called the Batplane. It changed mid-story. You think Bill Finger fixed that for him too? Taking off to the sky, he flies towards Hungary, the homeland of the monk. The comic ending on the first ever to be continued in the Batman's history. Will the Batman find the suspiciously robed monk? Will he discover the cure for the spell his fiancée has fallen under? How long will it be until Julie Madison is never mentioned again? Find the answer to all these questions and more in the next episode of T.Rek.Reviews. I'll go more into detail whenever I make the final cut of this Batman project, but essentially, this video has been in the works for a while. I had originally intended for this video to just be like one long video, and in fact, I already do have all of the audio of my talking edited out on the timeline, and when it's all said and done, it looks like this video will be about an hour and 20 minutes long. Now, I know an hour and 20 minutes long is really not that much in terms of modern YouTube landscape, but if I did not cut this video into parts and actually did just wait until I had it all edited before I did release it, it would at the very least be another month before I'm actually was able to upload it, if you know what I mean. Sorry if this is very rambly, again. Unscripted. And while it's not like I have anything to lose by waiting another month to post a video, at the same time, I'd rather not do that. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to post this video, and then I'll post 2 more parts, and then when it's all said and done, I will post like the final cut, which actually is the full-length video, whenever that time may come. I do intend on the other parts to be a bit longer than this part, but I just couldn't help myself but to end this video on the cliffhanger of the last comic. Forgive me, y'all. And as much as I hate to even ask for it, if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe so that YouTube may show you the second part of this little series whenever that video comes out. Or, you know, don't. If you made it all the way this far, the viewer retention will be good enough, I guess. Okay, I want to keep the ending of this short and sweet, and I can't think of anything else to say, so thank y'all for watching all the way to the end, and until next time, goodbye, y'all.